Hey guys, welcome to the second set between nal.keke and Hwasin. KKK. I really like KK's style of play. I think he's a really solid player. The coach, I think, for Wemade Fox, if not now, at some point in time, he's been a real solid player just all of a sudden lately, and really been taking down matches here and there. So I think this is going to be a really solid matchup. Hwasin, though, a absolute terror to Zerg, really strong. That last matchup, Mind was just fantastic. I thought that Cal had the absolute economic lead, but Mind with that push just pushed and pushed and pushed, managed to hold on, managed to establish position, managing to take it out, and Wemade is now up 1-0. And yeah, that's really good position, I would say, going into this match too, because honestly, I think I don't think this is going to be real over. I think this is going to be a very, very good match on Outsider. Tends to be one of those macro-heavy maps, but I really got to favor Hwasin in this. He's been a little bit. I feel though that he's been a little bit in a slump, whereas Keke has just been. And I'm gonna have a hard time saying that actually. I guess I'll do it that way. He's really been on a roll. I'm gonna check what his statistics are out of his last 10 in Pro League while I hand it over to Ranchan with me once again.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting match. I haven't seen a lot of Keke. I have no idea. I'm just going to stay with KK or something. KK sounds like a weird, cute nickname. But yeah, position-wise, we're going to have at the upper right, slightly upper right, 12.5 o'clock, going to have Hwasin in purple, and we're going to have KK in red at the 9 o'clock or so. So we're looking forward to. I haven't even seen a game on this map yet, so we're looking forward to seeing what's going on. Hwasin going to block off with a barracks and a supply depot. You have those natural expansions go up the high ground, so he's actually going to try to get that going while, okay, Overlord being sent in the correct position by KK, so he's going to get that scout going. Overlord doesn't really have a large distance travel, going to spot that barracks pretty soon, so he's instantly going to know traveling to correct direction. Actually going for a overpull or a 12 pull, didn't quite spot the timing on that alongside. We're going to see where the Hwasin goes. He's a very, as Digit already said, a quick, very, very powerful anti-Zerg player. One of those players that really sticks to the good old-fashioned M&Ms, not really following the whole mech builds that have been popping around these days, but really sticking to the M&Ms and really good at that overall SKT build and all that shizzle.
I really like this map. If you guys are not familiar with it, this is Outsider, and what you have is you basically have two expansions that are pseudo-protected. You can go to the north or south of your base, respectively, or I guess the east and west. I guess the east and the west and south, I should say, for Hwasin in that upper right expansion. But basically, I think I'm not sure this is a legitimate bunker. I think this might be fake. No, this is actually legitimate. More Marines being sent. Drones pulling off the line to try to take care of this. But and it looks like Hwasin going to seal his front door in the meantime. This is kind of odd play. He's chasing that back. Zerglings will be produced in time to take this out. So I think Hwasin's best off just canceling this. The Zerglings are out and prowling around, trying to lead those Zerglings off. And I guess, let's see if he sends a second SCV. He wants to go up and just kind of get a good look here. But I think it's going to be a pretty solid Zerg map because it's difficult to establish your third gas, I think, but it's really easy to establish 2 additional mineral onlys. Basically, to get that additional gas, you kind of have to wander outside of your base, but there's minerals absolutely everywhere. You can kind of sneak things around. I would not be surprised to see Mutalisk play or even Drop play. I think Drop is going to be one of the more significant things, and still that bunker is still up. It looks like Hwasin immediately taking his secondary. I'm just going to leave that bunker for, I guess, posterity's sake. The Zerglings almost somehow not taking out that SCV, even though it was completely surrounded there. So he's going to be able to wander back. One Zergling up in front. Oh, wow. And actually not turning around doing a SWAC. I think that would have been it for the SCV. Another one, like, running headlong. They're, like, headbutting the SCV to try to kill it here. And a tech to layer, actually. A 2-hatch build here from Keke, and we'll see what he's going to be up to from that. I don't think he wanted to have that spotted out. So I think he was relying on having that SCV killed to the north. But unfortunately, Hwasin now spotting the tech, getting his academy up, and I think Hwasin's going to be well prepared for anything that Keke can actually send at him at this stage.
Yeah, we're going to see academy being put up by Hwasin, so he's going to go for those M&Ms. Also, almost has his expansion going, adding more barracks at this point. Just Zerglings running around for Keke so far, just getting his stuff. Going to have his hatchery going up fairly soon. This map could be pretty decent for Mutalisk. You have a short range to fly between the main and the natural, but you got to be very careful. It's fairly easy to put down a pretty decent turret line to get around to make sure that it can't be funneled. And especially with the skill that Hwasin has with Medic Marines, how he can defend against Mutalisk micro, you have to be really careful if you plan on doing the micromanagement. of the mutas, which are actually going to be coming up. So two-edge mutas going up, and a creep colony also being put down. So he's going to be very careful, wary of possible pushes. But I don't see Hwasin really pushing anytime soon. I don't think he's going to have enough forces for that, but he should be soon, finally not putting down that engineer base, so he's going to be able to put down turrets to defend against that mutalisk. Probably scan it at this point, and if he hasn't, probably will do so very, very soon. He's probably about halfway up so far, and Zergling's pushing up a little bit. Going to see if they're actually going to be able to manage to push some pressure, but there are indeed Marines in position to push those back instantly.
Ooh, Zerglings, I don't think they're expecting that. This is a bit of a distance, I would say, between expansions to really get a legitimate push on the front door. The Mutalisk actually should be out. Hwasin actually needs to be careful sending his Marines back. I think he's going to want those back in his base to deal with these Mutalisks, because that Spire's going to be up in not too long. Looks like now they're drawing back. I feel like Mutalisks are necessary for Zerg on this map, because you've got that, basically the expansions that are in between the spawns. To really establish that gas, yeah, you need to kind of, I would say, sneak a drone out there, and the only real way to cover that drone until you get to hide second half of the Nidus canals pushing around is, I think, Mutalisks, really, to establish, because that's basically where you probably want to establish your third gas. I don't think it's very wise running and going to an equidistant point for that additional spawn to take gas over there. I think you really do this right here, is sneak that drone through, take those, the additional gas in between. The nice thing about sneaking these drones through, though, is that's too easy gas if you can hold it. If you can hold it, that's key. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Zerg players actually, at some point, completely skip taking the actual mineral lane. And I'm not sure if it's buildable in between the two bases, but maybe go for 2 gas. Mutalisk's now out, but just the turret's finishing just in time. Nice timing there by Hwasin. But beyond that, I feel like if Zerg can make it to the late game, they're in a much better position than the other players, because they can actually, with the Nidus Canal, support those expansions that are kind of in between the bases much faster than their Terran opponents. And Keke really dedicating a lot to this and taking a lot of hits, hitting that supply depot instead of, maybe he was hitting an SCV there, but hitting something instead of going after those turrets. Cycling around, trying to get back to that 1 o'clock position, another turret going up. He is going to be able to stop that second gas from going up for at least a little bit of time. Now continuing to go with that mech. But again, I feel like if Zerg can somehow get to that late game, that Nidus Canal can play a really big advantage, because they can instantaneously transport troops wherever they want, and that is absolutely huge on a large map like this. And if you can mine out some minerals and do some sneaky stuff like that, I think there could be the end game with Zerg in the mix could be very, very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, Keke just for now very, very positioned with his mules, trying to get some harassment going. Hasn't really done anything so far, producing even more Mutalisks. Just getting a lot of those. Hasn't really gotten any CV kills, prevented that gas, as you said, and not really much else. Has expanded once more, so he's going to try to equalize the economic position with the small amount of with the minimal amount of damage, almost no amount of damage that he's done. Really, he hasn't really done that. Now going to try to go for that scanner right there. Comsat station not going to go down, going to be forced to push back. Hwasin just hold them back with those turrets in very good position, so the Mutos can't fly in from behind, and it has those Marines on the front to push those back alongside that bunker, which those Mutos are not going to want to fly out. They're going to go now. Actually, are going to take down the comms station, most likely. No, get pushed back just before that happens. Scans going all over the place. And yeah, I think Terran is really on this map. There's a lot of drop play involved for Terrans. Now getting that, talking about drop play, is finally now getting that star point, so we are going to see some drop ships, and that's really what Terrans need to do. Going to need to drop, so that's get some drops going, especially before. If they get drops going before hive tech gets going, you have those Nidus canals. He really is going to be in very good position for Terrans if they start dropping medic marine forces over the place, getting on this expansion. This expansion right here is so vulnerable right now. He's going to need a sunken there, at least one, to really help defend it, some forces, because if he doesn't have anything else, and if Hwasin drops on him very soon and doesn't get picked off by those Mutalisks, which of course is another danger since Keke has so many mules flying around, you're going to have to take a gigantic circle to get the dropship going. If he manages to get a drop off, he's going to be in a good position. But Keke getting so many Mutalisks, just persistent, not getting too much damage done, but of course he is getting a full-on scout. Now actually going to put down front door. He has some Zerglings to help out, is going to take at the bunker. He's actually going to go for this manner only, for this natural, and these medic marines are going to run out, but not doing too much. Zergling's still in the mix. They're trying to kill as many SCVs, get some SCVs. Now final Marines are going to come out, engage these Mutalisks as they try to fly around, are going to finally force them back. So Keke doing a pretty decent attack. They're getting some damage done, not too perfect. Now going to move in with Mutalisks that are such a large number, they're going to be able to kill a lot of Marines in one single shot. So Keke is going to try to keep Hwasin inside of his own base to make sure that he can get economic damage. Also has that Hydra still on side. We're going to see whether he adds some Mutal Lurker to what he's got going so far.
I think Keke for there, he was thinking, I'm just going to dedicate Big Air ultimately. He has sunk some upgrades, it looks like Carapace 1. I'm not sure if he didn't get a good look to see if he got level 1 weapons as well. But yeah, sinking a lot into Mules. So actually it looks like he's continuing to produce Mulisks. But I think Hwasin's going to be comfortably able to take care of this. He's doing a good job at least of cycling the Mulisks all over the stage. Ooh, losing a couple there we really didn't want to. The Marine's able to get back in time. But that Science Vessel is really the race to the Science Vessel at that stage. And it looks like that Science Vessel with Irradiate is going to be out well in time. Hwasin putting down a second starport. Now what Hwasin needs to be very, very careful about is this has actually happened to him in the past, is really getting stuck tech. If Keke decides to do any sort of tech switch into a big, he did put down that Hydra into kind of a Hydra supported Mutalisk army, he could be in trouble. But I think Hwasin's going to be in a really good position off this. It's basically he's going to have a pretty large SK army, I guess they want to kind of put out. And he's got that Science Vessel to support. It looks like it's going to run out. Doesn't have a Radiate. If it does have a Radiate, those Mulisks are going to be in for a world of hurt. But yeah, I think Hwasin's in great position. He's managed to hold back that harassment. Keke's still at 3 bases and still hasn't really managed to do all that much economic damage. He hasn't really been able to stop the tech, and he really hasn't been able to get a tech advantage himself. So I really feel like Hwasin, just by holding out, making sure that he's only losing turrets, and especially having those Science Vessels in the air, he's in a great position. Another hatching going down. Now it looks like we're going to see some Lurkers being produced alongside, and I don't like this choice from Keke. I think just a couple well-placed Irradiates will be able to take down. Keke still could come out with something if he can pick out of these Mutalisk groupings, if he can pick out that irradiated Mulisks just perfectly. And let's see, there's the irradiation. Will he pick it out in time? All sorts of damage happening right there. And it looks like he did manage to separate it. Didn't take too much damage from his Mulisk. That was an interesting, I like what Keke did there. You can tell he practiced for this. He had 4 different control groups of Mutalisks in his 1 control group of Mutalisks, and because he was dedicating to this, and he split the 4 groups up immediately to minimize the damage as quickly as possible. And as a result, he ended up taking a lot less damage than he would have otherwise. And it looks like he is going to be able to switch up to Hive Tech, but Hwasin's starting to push forward. And now let's see if he can draw those forces back. I don't think Hwasin's really going to be bothered too much by that Mutalisk grouping behind. And it looks like he's going to push on the front door, and I don't know that just small grouping of Lurkers is going to be enough to keep Hwasin back.
And Hwasin has a few Marines there in the back. Musmuno's not going to really be able to prevent him from pushing out. Keke has taken his 4th at the 6 o'clock position. Now has the Lurkers and a bunch of Sunken colonies to help defend this, but these Medic Marines alongside so are going to be able to come out. Some Scourge in the air now. You have to be just real careful. As long as he prevents those Scourge from taking out his Science, he's going to be able to push down this pretty decently positioned. Doesn't have any tanks, unfortunately, so he's going to have to time this precisely. Okay, Radiate's going off on those Lurkers, so he's going to try to get them that way. The Lurker's slowly going to die, and Scourge flying in, it's all get taken down, so that's very good for him. More Mutas flying in from the south, and more Sunken colonies being put down. So all in all, it's just going to be a waiting game a little bit. Hwasin now has the surround a little bit on Keke, but Keke is getting that other expansion, so the longer Hwasin is forced to wait without getting an additional base, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. More Hydras now pushing out just in time to morph into Lurkers and to block off that, hold that blockade there. So Hwasin just holding, going to see, probably not going to go in so far. Mula's now flying in the opposite side for Keke, going to try to do some damage. Radiate going up and not splitting as quick as last time. Still doing a pretty good job overall, not taking too much damage. Sassel again flying around all over the place. Mula's goes dead bye-bye. And Hwasin now finally expanding on the 12 o'clock there. So if he might actually be able to do a pretty good job here, because he has expanded that, and that 6 o'clock expansion for Keke wouldn't be too decisive there. Hwasin's still not quite pushing in yet, biding his time so far. Has a lot of Science Vessels though, ready to radiate any forces that be going out. Scan going off, so he does get the perfect spot on all of those. Radiates going off on Lurkers again, and Scourge getting one hit on, but Science Vessel still in perfect health.
So now those Nidus Canals are out for Keke, and you can see, he's going up to Greater Spire. He's going to try to get a Defiler Mound alongside. That's an interesting combination of tech here. So it looks like it's going to be Defiler Lurk with some big air to kind of support. Let's see if he morphs Guardians. It looks like he is going to try to morph Guardians. That is one critical thing, is at that 12 o'clock expansion. It's very difficult for Terran players to really go up and defend that, but I think Hwasin's in a great position. He's going to have so many Science Vessels to deal with that, first of all. Although if he goes Devourer, they're kind of buff with hit points, and you might end up you could just suicide, I guess, a lot of Devourers into the Science Vessels. Conceivably, I don't think that will be the case. A dropship being produced, it looks like, to kind of push up there. And Hwasin drawing his forces back, it looks like he's content to keep the large attack units, and we'll see how many Guardians are produced. I think, honestly, there's going to be so many Science Vessels, it's almost going to be a Science Vessel to irradiate a single Guardian, and I expect actually an eraser trick overall, and I don't even know that Keke's really going to have enough to basically defend both fronts. He might be able to take that expansion out, but he's going to end up losing his front door in the meantime. Just so much irradiation taking out all those lurkers. He's having to invest too much there. It looks like there are one Science Vessel getting taken out there, but I think Hwasin should be able to pull back and get that done. Ooh, drop. Able to take out both those Scourge. Now he's going to be able to keep that 6 o'clock from going up, and he's going to be able to do some economic harass. Keke's going to have to pull back, and this is right when he wanted that. He wanted that. And morphing Guardians right there, and that might reveal a little bit. Actually, it looks like we're morphing at 6. I thought those were morphing actually at 12. So it looks like they're morphing up there, and there's Science Vessels right nearby to radiate, to just, gas attack all of that. So really, I'm not sure I like this choice of tech. He's basically, so he's going Lurker Guardian Defiler. Going Defiler, that'll actually help the Marines, and it looks like he's going to lose a Defiler right there. And there's going to be so many Science Vessels in the air that he's just going to be able to radiate everything out of the sky. And pumping the two of this, we'll see if Keke can pull it out. It's going to have to come down to micro, though, because I think Hwasin's just going to have the army advantage, and I think he's got almost a full control group of Science Vessels, maybe a control group and a half, and that is so killer.
He hasn't really lost that many Science Vessels, if any at all, so far. Just has done a very good job of protecting them so far. I've seen Hwasin get in a lot of trouble before, losing. He's not the only Terran that does that, but a lot of Terrans get in a lot of trouble losing a lot of Science Vessels very early on, not really managing to get that group that they need. But Hwasin at this point, I think, has that grouping, and he's just going to be able to push in. There are some there to defend. A lot of Scourge going to be flying in, managing taking out one or maybe two Science Vessels, but Dark Swarm goes down just as soon as those Marines push in. Hwasin's still being prevented from pushing in fully because of that huge defensive position with them, but I think also those Guardians are not really going to be able to help Keke out, because the type of damage that those Science Vessels do to Guardians, you got to keep Guardians in a group, of course, to help them get some focus fire going, and they just can't split nearly fast enough to those irradiate. They're going to be shot at them. So now Hwasin finally going to go in for this. He's going to have a lot of medic Marines going in, a lot of cracklings going on, try to meet them, but no, not really don't up. Science Vessels was off from positioning, actually just using scans to get this off. A lot of Marines dying though, so Hwasin is going to be pushed back temporarily, and Guardians the opposite side going down. Now one Science Vessel goes down, so Hwasin is effectively going to be pushed back, going to reinforce as quickly as he can, gets a lot of drops on the opposite side, so he's actually going to try to drop some fire bats alongside other troops, try to do some damage. A lot of Guardians in there for KK, while he also tries to take up the upper left, Hwasin also trying to take down another base for his obvious economic convenience. So I think KK did a pretty good job over there pushing it back, but now Hwasin is going to go for this again. Radiate going off. Dark Swarm just in time for those Marines not be able to do a lot of damage, because those Dark Swarms aren't going to help them out, but those Defilers are going to be in jeopardy, and the Lurkers being irradiated there. Plague going off on a lot of forces, so overall, large grouping of Guardians too, so Hwasin has to be careful what he does there. I think he should just continue with his drop strategy, just try to do some economic damage, keep KK at the back foot, because the front door is holding, so he has to be very careful. He doesn't have tanks to support a lot of Plagues and a lot of those Science Vessels, so I think if he tries to push in, he has to be very careful with Science Vessels, irradiating even more, and instantly pushing bad. Dropships are now going to come in. Defense Matrix is on the first dropship, so I think that drop is going to be able to do a lot of damage. Defiler in position though, and an Ultra's then also coming down for KK, so he's adding even more tech to him, and now we're going to see what actually mentioned is Dark Swarm goes off, so before that I think KK might actually be able to push this back. I'm not quite sure at this point.
I think Keke, this was a bad situation. He doesn't, first of all, Fire Bat's in there. That's going to minimize Darkstorm. He's going to lose his Greater Spire at least. I think what Keke's plan is to use that Plague and just make those Medic Marines really weak. And Defense Matrix on the front door, that's how many Science Vessels he has. He can just use Defense Matrix. Going to have to pull back because he's only got a single Fire Bat for that, but that's going to split it. And the Guardians not able to support there to the north just because they were so far away. Going to lose probably his Hive on top of everything else. And if he does lose that Hive, that is definitely going to be GG, because he's not going to be able to replenish that tech even with the bases, and you really need that Hive tech, either the Greater Spire or the Ultralisk Cavern, to really fight this off. That is 2 big hits. I think this is already game, actually. I think it was game when Hwasin managed to establish that contain, just have so many Science Vessels out in the air. But finally the Guardians coming around. Looks like they are going to be able to clean up this attack. They are going to at least hold that Hive. But there should be a Siege Tank or 2 swinging around with another grouping of Medic Marines and probably more Science Vessels to support momentarily. Keke has a fairly large economy, but there's not really anything you can do to kind of get push out with it. It looks like Hwasin losing a little bit of a careless command center, and he's just having to invest so much in that front door. Between lurkers to just get irradiated and everything else. Looks like the Guardians are going to swing in. Let's see if an irradiate pushes up there. I'm not sure if there's actually enough left, but surprisingly, not seeing a lot of science vessels. I'm not sure what happened to the large amount of science vessels that Hwasin had. I didn't see a lot of them get taken out. It looks like they're just kind of holding to that back edge, and now they're going to swing back around. Defense matrix, some irradiate. That's what I expected to see, that irradiate back in the field, and that is going to be it. That's going to be a definitive GG. There's nothing to hold this back. He'll be able to take 2 science vessels, but it's not going to be enough. You can kind of see the look on his face of just kind of the angry defiance, but yet still a degree of defeat. And Keke's going to have to pull out something, I would say, magical to get back in this game. Drop across the 6, all those Sunken colonies taken out there, it looks like, and he's going to end up losing even more bases. And the one thing he did have was his economy. He had a gigantic economy off, I think, of those 5 or 6 bases there. But losing that now, and between that, not having that Ultralisk den up, I think Hwasin has sealed this officially, losing some medic marines there, but I don't think he even cares. And now that secondary can be completely barreled down. And I think he's got a Spire, and it looks like his den and Hydral's den and spawning pool right there, and not going to be able to stop any of it from getting completely taken over. A stream of Zerglings headed that direction, but yeah, that's not going to be enough. And irradiating that bottleneck, Keke actually bottlenecking himself in here. You can see the Zerglings just dying in a stream, trying to give some time to get those Sunken colonies off, but the medic marines too strong, too powerful. More science vessels and some tanks now to supplement this attack force, and that is going to be it. Keke, I'm surprised he hasn't GG'd already. Pulling drones off the line, lost that secondary. 2 defiler mounts. I think that must be a mistake, and ooh, Eraser, and those drones are getting absolutely obliterated. Absolutely obliterated, and there's irradiate going there's irradiate everywhere. It's like the science vessels are an attack force of themselves here. Yeah, it's Chernobyl, and Hwasin has in fact won this game. Very, 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 very strong play from him. So it looks like going into Game 3, it's going to be 1-1 in anyone's match.
GG finally.
So hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to cycle on to Game 3, which is going to be a really interesting match. I'm trying to remember who's playing, actually, between Pure and Notice. And both Pure, just an absolute stud last year, and Notice, a pretty solid player himself. Saw him in GOM TV, actually, here and there. So look forward to it. I'm going to move on. I still have Ranchin alongside. Thanks for listening, guys.
이제 3개, 4개까지 돌려가면서 베럭스 3개의 타이밍에 팩토리 스타포트가 이미 올라가고 있었기 때문에 펜슬이 빨리 나올 수 있었거든요. 예, 그것을 바탕으로 승리를 거뒀네요.
그렇습니다. 2세트 경기